Okay, moving on to something a little different. Pretty straightforward question. What light types work well outdoors? And the main response here is not fluorescent. HIDs, which are high intensity discharge, which are essentially the same basic idea as a fluorescent, they have the same basic mechanism in them, actually do better than a regular fluorescent. I'm not really sure why they do better in the cold, but neither of them is particularly great in the cold. Fluorescents definitely are the most problematic. Strangely, incandescent bulbs, which are the bulb of last resort these days because they're just so unbelievably inefficient, are just fine outdoors. They do very well indeed. In fact, they kick out so much heat that you can actually warm up a screen porch just by having a couple incandescent bulbs outdoors, and you actually use the heat in some interesting way. People actually do that in basements and things. They'll leave lights on, and that's one of the ways they keep the basement heated. So incandescent bulbs are great outdoors. They just have all kinds of other problems. They're incredibly inefficient. They produce a massive amount of heat and not that much light. Probably the best one for outdoors are LEDs, at least the current version of all these different lights. LEDs do just fine in the cold weather. There are a bunch of kind of odd aspects to LEDs that are still, frankly, being kind of worked out. One of them is that LEDs don't actually produce very much heat, which is great because when a lamp produces heat, that's usually, like for example in the incandescents, that means there's a lot of energy going into producing the heat that's not going into producing light. And so the fact that the LEDs don't produce very much heat is a great sign that they're efficient. However, they are susceptible to heat issues. So weirdly, my one worry would not be LEDs in the winter. My one worry would be LEDs actually in the summer. But I actually don't know that that's a problem. I just know that they are susceptible to too much heat. And that's why often when you look at the LEDs that are supposed to fit into, like the ones that are supposed to look like a regular bulb, they'll have the sort of odd fins on them. I don't know if you've ever seen those. And then the bulb part that screws in. That's a terrible bulb, but you get the idea. And those fins are there in order to help dissipate the heat away from the actual LED source. And so the thing there is they don't produce that much heat, but if you allow the heat that they do produce to stay right there, it will degrade the light source. It'll degrade the thing, and it won't actually have the long-lasting life that everybody keeps talking about for LEDs. This is a big deal, especially when you're replacing LEDs into things like can lights or something where the heat doesn't have a chance to get away. And the other big issue there is because LEDs are so long-lasting, that one of the things people have started doing is they've started putting them in fixtures in a way, in luminaires in a way that you can't actually get to replace, because the idea is, well, you're not really ever going to have to replace it. It's going to be, by the time you're replacing it, you're going to be ripping out the reception desk anyway or something. It'll be years and years down the road. Well, that's true unless it builds up a lot of heat, at which point it's going to degrade and it'll run out much, much faster. So there's some weird things going on with LEDs about cool and heat, but essentially they're probably the best for the outdoors. HIDs like mercury vapors and sodium lights do just fine, and they're very, very efficient for street lamps and for parking lots and all of those things. But if you were actually looking at it really closely, I think they flicker a little bit and they start to go down when it gets dimmed down a little bit when it gets really, really cold. For whatever reason, I don't think it's as bad as fluorescents. Fluorescents often just won't even come on if it's cold.
Well, thank you, Mike, and thanks again to all of you who tuned in and who have submitted their questions today. If you'd like to attend our next a.r.e. live broadcast on the structural systems exam, visit blackspectacles.com/podcast to register to attend. And just like today's episode, you'll have a chance to ask questions and share your answers with Mike for live feedback during the broadcast.
And if I can just toss in, if you have a particular topic that you think would be good to cover on that, let us know. If you let us know early enough, we'll make sure we get it in there for the discussion next time.
Yep. And to learn a little bit more about our AIA a.r.e. prep curriculum, go to blackspectacles.com, where you can try out any of the free courses. And for those of you who are ready to start preparing for the ARE, and if you're already an AIA member, as a part of our partnership with the AIA, you can visit http://bksp.es/ARE Prep 826 to get a 15% discount of your AIA a.r.e. Prep membership. Finally, please leave a comment below the video to let us know what you think and share any suggestions you may have. I promise we'll read every word that you write and use them to tune our next episodes. So thanks for watching.